time to move on to the next match. Clem against Skillous. It looks like we've got there at the top of our screen. So that's going to be a fun one. Clem showed mega macro Vanguard play earlier today. Now, Skillous, I believe, wasn't he also a Vanguard player? I think he was the other one, right?
Who, sorry? I think Skillous is also going to be playing Vanguard as well.
So our first Vanguard mirror, actually our first mirror of the day at all, which is surprising.
Absolutely. And I mean, when I think about my Protoss friends over in StarCraft 2, it's like, I know a lot of them will be waiting for those very high health boys and not having to make as many units, whereas so far with both these lads, you have to make a lot of units. So I feel that's kind of like a little bit of a no man's land for them in a little way. But still, when I hear that Infernal is as good as it is, very surprising to see so many of these guys whipping out the Vanguard, eh?
Yeah, this is going to be really cool as well because I feel like this matchup is the most fleshed out matchup, especially if you look at like the previous build like a month ago. Infernal versus Infernal was such a meme. Like it was just like fiends sporting and fiends could spawn other fiends. So it was just this, it was like a weird demon rebirth party. It was super freaky. It's just things exploding. There's been a lot of good, clarity updates since then and stuff that have made Infernal versus Infernal better. But this matchup was already good months ago. It was already like really well rounded. You see a lot of different units. I don't guarantee that because this is obviously competitive. Money's on the line, $10,000 tournament. One guy might just cheese the other out. You never know. But we do tend to see very dynamic play in this matchup. So we're going to be going into it now. Our game in the top right side, we've got the red player, Skillous.
Ooh, I see. Is that going to be a regame going on there? I don't know if what I'm seeing is correct or not. I believe. It's a beta. It's a beta. These things happen, Piggy.
Sometimes they host up the wrong map or they get excited and someone picks the wrong race or this or that. So I'm sure we'll be into the next game momentarily, my friends. But yeah, so I guess just to prep you for this matchup, you don't expand at the start usually. A few players have said you can survive, say, early dog openings and that sort of stuff if you choose to do it. But it's just very dangerous and your opponent will kind of harass you, force a lot of defense, pick off a bob or two, take all the creep camps. You'll end up behind. So most players are going either dog opening or to counter the dog opening, they're going early Lancers, since Lancers just take no damage from dogs and can fight them off. Wouldn't be surprised to see wall-offs from the players as well, since if dog run-bys is such a scary thing, being able to wall off to block those dogs is a good way to stop it. So I expect a bit more of a tech-oriented opening for the sides, and it's going to be interesting to see how it's evolved, because honestly, I don't think I've cast any Vanguard versus Vanguard on this latest version. So yeah, we'll see if anything's changed.
No, absolutely. I mean, anything that we see here as well, like I know that Skillous talked about Stormgate, and it was like, I remember asking him if he's prepared for Katowice. He's like, yeah, I feel good. I'm like, oh, you do? That's great. And he's like, yeah, I played a lot of Stormgate. I'm like, God damn it. Like, going into the biggest StarCraft tournament. But no, he obviously did all right there as well, finishing top 12.
Don't out him like that, Ben. What is going to be another Lil Bow moment, man?
I know.
Practicing for Warcraft 4,
I know. But yeah, he put in time in StarCraft 2. He's always been a StarCraft grinder. And yeah, we will get right on into it. Spawning over in the top, or the bottom left now as our blue Vanguard player, it is Team Liquid's Clem.
Yeah, very nice. In the top right, of course, we've got Skillous. Skillous, a fantastic player for Team Liquid. So I guess this is a Team Liquid mirror matchup, and I've got a Team Liquid caster with me as well. So represent, man.
Absolutely. I mean, quite a few of the Team Liquid boys, they had a boot camp right before Katowice, where like Mana was there, Laser, Clem, Skillous as well. And Mana, Laser, and Skillous apparently were playing a lot of Stormgate. So I've already heard a lot about Laser, and he is partaking in this qualifier later. I'm very excited to see how he is going. But so far, these are as mirrored as builds can be, both sending over 4 bobs, and oh my god, they actually deal a lot of damage to the scout, don't they?
Yeah, you get double damage as well as effectively double hit points from the overcharge, so it turns them into very powerful units. both sides going expansion first. So I was saying, you know, it's normally one base, but in this recent patch with the dogs getting nerfed, the dog opening isn't as dominant and you can get away with the expansion first. Turns out these guys are like, yeah, you can not only get away with it, it's the best opening according to these two players. So I'm really excited to see this change up. It's going to be a very different pacing. It used to be much more skirmish focused early game in the Vanguard versus Vanguard. Now you're going to have an economic start, and I cannot wait to see what that leads to, because it means bigger chances of like Atlas drops against each other, Hornet swaps, all sorts of Vulcan armies clashing, and I am curious to see what these guys bring to the table.
Me too, definitely. And Skillous moving a lot of guys over there to the Ethereum here, so looking to do some tech. He's going for a more forward production facility. I also think he lost his dog. So that was definitely one difference, and Clem has been very good. One player that's notorious for his micro and multitasking, making this scout look so damn annoying and getting a full scout continuously on his opponent, whereas Skillous very much in the dark this game.
All right, so far lots of bobs coming out for both sides. Production start coming up for both of them, as well as the barracks finishes, the Ethereum mining going hard. There was a moment when the Hornet was overpowered where this matchup was literally just, how do you get to Hornets, and do you go straight Hornets? Like, there was a build where you would put 4 workers on Ethereum basically at the very start. you'd get Hornets before doing anything else. Ooh. And you'd even you didn't. Oh no, he's gonna get a bob. Oh, you gotta repair. Skillous not repairing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oy! Moral victory right there. So not only getting the scout early on with his bobs, gets a bob of his own with his scout. And I mean, every little thing here is just, it can start to spiral a little bit. Now, Skillous definitely getting more Ethereum here. Oh my, that's a very quick Hedgehog. So Clem already showcasing that he is a big fan of the Hedgehog boys, isn't he?
Indeed. It's a very microable unit. This was one of my favorite first units I came across when I was playing a lot of Stormgate, because it felt interesting to control. I have likened it to the Oracle. Its model does feel a little bit weird on like how it turns and stuff, where it looks like the turning animations aren't like fully there in terms of the visual side, but the way it controls feels quite good in that it drifts a little bit. It has to take a while to load up its shots, and it's a good like slow move and shoot unit, kind of like a Hellion and an Oracle had a weird baby from StarCraft. You can see there where you can basically just like do this sort of fancy micro. Like, it's Clem's dream, dude. And did we just see a shield get put on a dog? That is not something you see every day. 1,000 hit point dog, let's go.
I mean, he's got to do something. Okay, it doesn't last forever though, so Skillous knew it was a time buyer, but a time buyer for what? Okay, it's going to be a time buyer for a Hornet, and tell you what, these Hedgehogs, they can shoot up, and they do a decent job of your left. Oh my god. Oi, that's so bad. So bad for Skillous.
That's a disaster, mate. That's so bad. That Hornet was meant to defend all this, and it could have, because he could have brought like the dogs over to fight. I think when they're sieged up, I don't think Hornets can attack ground at the same time. I could be wrong on that. But now they are able to just out-micro. Dogs beat Hedgehogs. But that's if you've got the upgrade and a bunch of dogs. 1 or 2 dogs ain't going to cut it. These Hedgehogs are way more expensive than them. And he's picking away at these blobs. You can see the DPS, damage per second, is not that crazy. However, look at that. Siege is up. And Skillous is going to go in as they unsiege. I like that in and out micro for Skillous. He's just got to be real careful. If one of them sieges up, he's got to get out of there with that Hornet. He can't afford to lose it.
Oh my goodness. Is it going to die again? I mean, the range on these Hedgehogs, their anti-air, actually isn't bad. It's just the fact that they have to siege up in the first place. And I tell you what, Resources Lost tab, if it was a thing in this game, definitely would not be looking very good for Skillous right now. Now, he does activate the bobs to have, I think they get more armor from this, as well as construction time and damage. And I think that Skillous is going to be able to hold on now. But, oh my goodness, the Hedgehogs, man, they do great damage against air when they get set up.
Yeah, like they're awkward against air, but like, hey, if you sit there and fight them, they're actually good damage output. And you can see getting multiple ones of these Hornets, it's such a huge start. Clem is pretty good at video games, for those who don't know. Give this man mobile, fast units to attack and micro with, and he will do it perfectly. As I was saying earlier, Clem is one of the fastest real-time strategy gamers of all time. His speed is insane. And you will, if you watch him play first person, have a seizure. It's kind of actually dizzying. You need to take motion sickness medication before you do it, man. It's insane how fast he is. And look, he's not missing a beat. He's going to take a third base behind this. He's rallying Exos and Hedgehogs out, but oh, he's got to be careful.
Oh, I tell you what, those scouts, they can deal quite a bit of damage if they get on top of these units. A nice little surrounded there by Skillous. So Skillous feeling comfortable now to move out onto the map. And this is where he can start utilizing these high firepower units, these Hornets. And we've seen those used to great effect here. So Skillous can stabilize to some degree. He's definitely not down and out.
Gonna go after that third base, just finished building. There's already a hedgehog sieged up behind the trees. Just trying to speed build a sentry post there. Only has a few exos with the bobs, but oh, okay, attacking that sentry post, trying to get it down. The dogs are falling though to the exos, and the hedgehog can take out those hornets. That'll be great. The dog gets the shield again. Skillous, a big fan of shielding his dog, which is a very cute maneuver, as it's an annoying, distracting unit up in your face. But Lancers do not care about dog damage at all. Sentry post will finally finish. Bobs are going to repair that. Exo will get inside. Remember, that's got +2 anti-air range now in that recent patch. So that flat cannon is huge at defending the Hornets.
No, absolutely. I mean, definitely nice for Skillous to get a little bit of counter damage done there. And you can really tell that he likes to be mobile and in the face. And he's producing a lot of these dogs, which definitely curious, because all the other players with Vanguard, they seem to have a time in which they're being used and then they'd stop, right, entirely. But he's all about producing them a lot. He's expanding behind it as well. And if they do get on a minute, or rather a Luminite line here, and, you know, Bob overcharge is not activated, they can definitely get a lot of damage done.
Third base up north, getting speed built for Skillous. Gonna be catching up on those expansions. Dog run by. I mean, dogs are really good at killing exos. They're really good at killing hedgehogs. They're just very vulnerable to the Lancers, and it's hard to not get them just skewered by those Lancers. Those Lancers make dog barbecues all day. They are robot dogs, so I'm not sure how tasty that is to eat, but it is a weird future with demons in it, so maybe eating that metal will actually give you some fuel.
Absolutely, and that Hornet count is growing. And I mean, they don't build the fastest in the world. They are being boosted by one of those solar supply depot kind of things, but Clem so far not really showcasing any holes in his defense here. And Skillous, he's not making it easy for Clem. Clem's just doing a good job of being in the right place at the right time so far. Oi, oi, oi.
Big Hornet run by into the main. And oh, he gets a bob, but uh-oh, he's kind of getting cornered there. I don't think there's enough dead space on the edge. Oh, Clem gets one Hornet, he gets two. The Hornets 3. Okay, third one does get away, but still losing 2 Hornets is expensive. You'll notice that the Hornets, when they're not attacking, for a few seconds, they get a movement speed boost. And that is what allowed them to get out of there for Skillous, but still losing a few expensive units. The dog run by doesn't get much damage there either. And it does feel like Clem has secured his economy at this point.
It really does, and Clem really likes those Brood War-esque armies, doesn't he? Like the medics, the bio, just getting out onto the map. It looks like he's going to be trying to secure a 4th base behind this as well. So Skillous, the far more nimble army, but not so much better in a direct engagement, whereas Clem, he's just been very good about keeping the right units in the right places. And I'm very curious, what is Skillous evolving to on his side of the map? Because I don't think he can stick on the dogs, and I did see a large number of barracks from him ready for something, but the question is what?
Exo's starting to come out. The question gets answered just as you ask it there, Ben, and they are a very good unit. They got buffed in the recent patches. They're good flat damage. I was casting with Probe the other day. We were kind of looking at some games, analyzing them, and he said a lot of people keep saying these are Marines, but they're more like ghosts. Like, the Exos are very expensive, very high damage. Takes a while to build them up, but you got it. Like, you look at 10 Marines in a StarCraft army and you kind of shrug your shoulders. You look at 10 Exos in a Stormgate army and you've really got to respect it. And right now, Clem is far ahead on that Exo count, and he's got the medtechs to back it up.
Absolutely, those medtechs provide a lot of valuable healing to both bio and mech with the correct upgrades and correct using. And Clem, he's feeling adventurous now. He's moving out across the map. Now, he hasn't done a hell of a lot of creeping, although he does have full vision moving on over here, and he's going to find a very exposed base by the looks of it. And with this amount of Exos, as you pointed out, they deal a lot of damage, and Skillous will have to meet this army, and his army's a lot quicker over here, especially with the speed boost, I think, active.
Oh, look at that. Nice boost there from the medtechs. The Atlas on the high ground is kind of scary. He's dodging most of the shots for now, though, is Clem. That early Atlas, I've seen a few players do this, but you can see against a guy like Clem, he's not going to let those shots land. He's just going to jump on you, and he even gets the second Atlas on the left side. Oh, this is a deadly fight. Clem just jumping on top with that Exo firepower, looking amazing.
Absolutely, and Skillous can't really fight head-on with these Hornets, can he, against this amount of anti... Oh, and you see, just absolutely getting obliterated, and that Atlas is trying to hit, it's trying to constantly hit, but Clem is just not letting it do anything, and with one fell swoop here, one attack, he's just getting so much done with so little.
This is beautiful play by Clem. The healing working out there as well. I think it must be a misclick, the Nano Swarm on the bio unit there, because maybe meant to speed boost it. Exos are not very tough. You can see how quickly they die when they do get hit. It's just very rare they take the Atlas shots.
Absolutely. I mean, I also had to question myself whether... Oh, he takes out the dropship. The Atlas dropped onto the floor as well. And that was the last thing really holding on for dear life here for Skillous. Atlas comes in from the back as well. The Bobs are overcharged here to try and do something. And I mean, they do sort of tank a lot better than they were doing. A nice little surround here on that medtech over there, but a bubble used on it as well. It will not fall. Clem absolutely delivering in here, game 1 against Skillous.
Clem is good at video games. Clem has mysteriously taken a 5th base behind this because this is how Clem plays. If you let Clem dictate the pace of the game and get momentum, just like in his StarCraft matches where he is the best or one of the best players in the world, he just attacks, wins fights, and expands at the same time. And if you get behind against Clem, it feels, when you're playing against him, like he's all in when he's attacking you. You're like, oh, he's committed so much. And then you always realize he's actually got way more economy than you, and you just realize that there was this point where he got a little ahead, and then by microing in your face, he did more damage, put you further behind, kept macroing flawlessly behind it, taking more bases, more workers, and he has this ability to turn a small lead into a match feeling ridiculously unfair and like you never had a chance to begin with. And that's what he's done here, because remember, it was quite even, but then it was like, bam, the units got in and started doing damage, and it's just spiraling out of control.
Absolutely. I mean, these Bobs are doing a good job of just kind of being a little meat shield here, getting the way, stopping the units from dividing as much as Clem would like them to, but I feel this soon is going to be a battle of numbers. I'm seeing that blue spread across the map, and I mean, Skillous does clean it up. His Exo's absolutely piling a punch here, but he's kind of like a now 3.5 base, very, very wounded, and Clem's just absolutely grown. Like you said, he's put on the pressure, but grown behind it as well. So true RTS masterclass of how you can approach a game and utilize your speed beautifully.
Hedgehogs, man. The Hedgehog opening just got him a bit of momentum and aggression for a pretty small investment, and he found massive openings with that, so that was awesome. We've got Bobs moving out to try and take that top left base, I believe is what they're doing, or maybe they're just transferring to the 3rd or 4th. Exo's on the high ground, microing pretty well for Skillous, but he's got to deal with a nasty Clem that is in his face. The building does get cancelled there. Starts building this over in his natural instead. Skillous stuck in his corner of the map, blind. I don't know if you go for some dangerous run-bys here. Normally when you're on the back foot in an RTS, you try to do something that's gambly, right? You sneak some units out, run into their bases on the right, do the same thing on the left when they go to respond to the right side, try to get up to some high-tech units, like a bunch of Atlases behind it, something like that. Interestingly, we haven't seen a lot of Sentinels. Sentinels used to be a mainstay in this matchup, but it seems like people have decided since the Atlases got buffed a while ago that they're the better option. The Sentinel, of course, is the flying support unit that can throw a big defensive bubble, but man, that is brutal.
These poor little Bobs, you know, they ran away. They weren't running quickly either. A lot of them get picked off in this far right base. Not long for this world. I mean, Skillous has been very good about his tech switches. Now he's got a massive exo blob, but I mean, it all feels a little bit behind Clem, doesn't it? And there's no medics in here in the mix to really get things going, and every fight I see, oh my goodness, they run so fast.
It's such a silly looking ability, isn't it? They're like, there's like an adrenaline shot, and then there's that. It's like, we are going to imbue you with the speed of the heavens. We are going to send you blazing fast. It's very good for chasing down retreating enemy.
Absolutely. I mean, Skillous is doing something very fancy that we talked about with the dropships. It's almost like the old Tankovax kind of thing. So he's absolutely keeping his Atlas alive here, which, who knows, maybe he's shown Clem something that's like, oh, that's pretty good, and GG is called. Clem does take map 1 here, but wasn't easy, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was cool. First time we saw the mirror matchup, and mirror matchups in RTS games often rests on a knife's edge. Unless you play a bit safer, which most pros don't want to do, they want to take every advantage they can, it rests on a knife's edge. In that case, it was defend with your dog, buy a little bit of time, and then to get your first Hornet out, shut it down. But a huge mistake was made by Skillous, and that was using the shield on the dog. Maybe just pull a few bobs, maybe do an overcharge. The problem is, overcharge is like, assume he had 50 energy at that point to overcharge, and then use the shield after that. But once you use the shield, that's a 2-minute cooldown. You use it on a dog, it's expired after 10 seconds. If you use that on the Hornet, those hedgehogs can't siege, because if they siege and then you use your shield, you're stuck fighting me, and you do not want to fight a 1,000 hit point shield. You shut down the first 2 hedgehogs, you can run away with that opening. Instead, Clem kills the first Hornet, and from there it was just like a slippery slope of Clem being in charge of that game.
Yeah, I mean, Clem just played well, and it's just like you could see some skills transfer between different RDSs, right? Where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Clem's fast. He's a fast lad, and he's absolutely going to be in your face. And I saw it with when he tried out Zero Space, and you see it now when he's trying out Stormgate. And it's just like, this boy's fingers are pretty damn quick, and he's just so good about forcing out these little errors, these little mistakes. And it's like, oh dear, kills the scout initially. That scouting dog doesn't lose his, so he's constantly in the face of his opponent right from the get-go. Just very cool to see.
Absolutely awesome way to start things off. And man, I don't know. It's interesting because like part of me feels like I really want to see Clem versus Probe now. I really want to see Clem versus Parting, because he's so unstoppable when he gets a good start or when things go his way. But I really want to see like one of these guys who brings out one of these really sharp early game timings in his face, is just kind of all over him from the start. Can Clem look as unstoppable then? Because we're seeing Clem get a bit of freedom in the game and then look just out of this world. But if he's maybe on the back foot a little bit, does he have the experience to really know what to do in those circumstances? Maybe Skillous will find a way to put that pressure on in this next game. I'm hoping he will. Game 1, honestly, it was that one small mistake early, was a slippery slope. I think if he has a cleaner start this time, he can do way better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, both these guys, yeah, like we talked a lot about Clem being amazing and stuff, but he finished top 8 at recent Katowice. Skillous finished top 12, so absolutely no slouch. And I know Skillous has played quite a bit of Stormgate, so probably looking to absolutely get one on the board at least against his opponent. But we also have to mention that this is absolutely live. This is not like a replay situation between these two. So depending on the nerves, knowing what's going on, this is your first debut, getting to really showcase your stuff. Sometimes that can absolutely get the nerves a wailing and a flowing. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun, man. We're going to go into Secluded Grove as we saw there. Skillous is in the bottom left in the blue. Clem is in the top right. And I wouldn't mind the same opening from Skillous, to be fair. Like, and just, use the shield on the first Hornet. But I wonder if he kind of feels a bit afraid and changes it up. I would imagine if he senses the same opening is coming, he might just do a, multiple barracks dog upgrade opening. And that does kind of hard counter the hedgehog. At least that's what I've heard. Haven't seen it much because we never really see hedgehog openings in this matchup all that much, but it looked great for Clem last time. We'll see what happens this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely feels like you can see that what Probe was doing in his games was more meta, right? Like it was, you could see how it dealt damage very quickly. The hedgehog very much feels like a fun unit to use. I'm not entirely sure on how people will utilize it later on down the line. And heck, maybe Clem's ahead of the meta, but it definitely feels a more nuanced unit, whereas the dogs early on, very solid. The Exos deal their thing as well. So far, Clem again, because the colors are switched here, I believe. Clem again, just being a real nuisance, a little bit quicker with getting his expansion down, and he's keeping his dog alive, but as is Skillous this game as well.
Indeed, continuing to attack there. Oh, the Bobs are not. I thought they were going to attack it, but they don't just yet. Just one Bob does chase the dog off for both sides. Cool. Fast Expand versus Fast Expand is the Team Liquid Vanguard versus Vanguard meta. And oh man, that Bob's getting mighty low. Gonna have to turn one of the Bobs to repair that if he gets any lower.
Yeah, Skillous has actually brought his dog home as well. Maybe to deal with this. He's just like, oh, it almost got sniped there by that. That would have been Absolutely brutal if that did so happen, and Clem just being a continual nuisance. Again, like you mentioned earlier, repairing anything in this game doesn't actually cost anything whatsoever, but it just goes to show how important these units are, because if you're not mining, then you are getting behind compared to where your opponent is. So that is just something to keep in mind. Here, Ethereum does start nice and early, and the barracks finished about the same time for both these players.
I'm just waiting for a little bit of money, I think, to get the biokinetics lab, or maybe to tech up in some way, as we can see the overcharge there. There's a mech bay, nice. Love that we can click on things now in the observing interface, see what people are building and stuff. Good to see things evolving so we can track the progress. Second barracks, though, for Skillous. So indeed, looks like the same sort of counter that we talked about at the start. You're going to go the dog upgrade to counter the hedgehogs, and that should go very well, but Clem's already scouted the second barracks, so he should know what's coming.
Absolutely. Now, we do know the barracks armies do tend to be quite slow when it comes to getting out on the map. Skillous with a very good scout here as well. Did get to see that mech bay. And given that the hedgehog did so well in game 1, most likely aware of what's going to be happening in this game, and we will get to see what upgrades Skillous will go for when he goes for them. But so far, no real edge for either player here. Lancers are being made, and those bad boys are very decent at getting out to the map and creeping, but how good are they going to be against these hedgehogs?
Well, looks like Clem is already thinking about taking a third base. Overcharging those bobs. Now, it is interesting. Did they in the last patch remove the ability to overcharge a building command post? I think they did. That's why he has to do that. But, oh, here we go. Hedgehog's running in. And dogs are faster than that. Well, they used to be. Maybe they're the same speed now. I guess you don't have the slow anymore in the dog. It's such a late upgrade. The dog slow, it comes in after tier 2. Very rare to see that anymore, whereas they used to be combined and dogs used to be kind of overpowered. Hedgehog's trying to get caught. Clem's going to have to micro his heart out. If he gets surrounded at all, losing those hedgehogs would suck.
Oh, and a little bit of dance there on those hedgehogs. And I mean, this scout number is definitely growing. That was back when I played. And ooh, these lancers running in here. And, you know, I don't think there's any overcharge available. Nice around, though, with these bobs. I mean, it is very, very nice to be able to take out these lancers, even repairing them, keeping them alive. Really cute out of Clem.
Oh, Clem. Clem's micro is so sick, man. Just little details other players don't even think to do. And the dogs are going to try to punish. They're going to try to go for the flank, but the bob's tanking a little bit. I think the bobs should probably pull out of there. Maybe let the hedgehogs fight. The Lancer's doing a great job of tanking for Clem. Quite a few bobs are falling, but quite a lot of dogs going down as well. It's a bit of a messy fight for both sides.
It really is. You can definitely tell that I think the upgrade for the scouts came online halfway through that fight, 'cause you could really feel that from tickling those units, they just went straight up chonking those bobs and those hedgehogs. And we'll have to run home. Skillous feeling like, all right, now's my time to take third base. Didn't go for the overcharge to do it, though. So this third will build a little bit slower than what Clem has been doing so far. And these hedgehogs, yeah, you have to respect those. They've been working wonders for Clem so far.
They're doing so good, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I totally miscalled it. I was like, dogs counter hedgehogs, guys. It turns out my knowledge is a week old. Everybody, sorry. The dogs, they technically, if they can catch them, they will. But because they don't have the slow anymore, guess what? You know, Clem's micro is pretty good. He's avoided surrounds and he's getting out of there. He's just dominating the map, doing really good. Dogs will get out and start taking some creep camps, but Clem is already moving to take a fourth base. Clem, have you no chill? What the heck, man? How greedy do you want to be?
Yeah, Clem is very much utilizing... Oh, I guess the dogs are a tiny bit faster. You can see that one is constantly tickling the hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Might be due to pathing a little bit, but trying to get us around is difficult. And I mean, the fact that Clem got this vision tower, gets to see everything that's happening behind this pillar, is very nice for him. But that's a lot of scouts, man. Like, that, you definitely have to respect that. And he's like, you know what? I don't like you seeing everything that I'm doing on my side. I'm going to get rid of you. And Clem, on his side of things, heading on home. And he's probably going to repair all his units as well. But what does he want to do against this is the question.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Clem's taking that base hidden in the forest. Extra buildings coming up for him. We'll keep on expanding and probably going into mass exo production in the near future. We haven't seen the guys open their Therium patches yet. And that's kind of a problem if they want to transition into heavier Therium later. But I guess not at that stage. Mass dogs coming in. There's a crazy dog count. The Lancer turret is very good with its balance damage. You got to be careful going into that base because you get surrounded there. Grabbing one Bob. Oh, he's going to go after these hedgehogs, but Clem has been elusive so far. Will he continue to be elusive? Getting back to the turret. Nice pullback for Clem so far. One of the hedgehogs getting very low. Finally does die. Shield dog for the win.
I mean, Skillous has been very into shielding the dogs, hasn't he? Shielding the correct units, and he's been very annoying about it, but realizing, oh, might have outstayed my welcome a bit. And you can see these hedgehogs, when utilized properly, they are able to, like, move and shoot, basically, just like a Phoenix would from StarCraft 2. Very cool, but Exos, that's going to add a lot of firepower into the mix, and I feel that the time of the hedgehog is almost over, but I say that, look at him. Look how he's maneuvering these lads.
Clem feels no greater joy than when he can, like, over-micro a unit to annoy his opponent, you know? Like, this man's just like, let me just kite with these 2 hedgehogs. Even though we're on 4 base against 4 base, we're building much bigger armies now. There's upgrades, there's macro to do. For Clem, actions per minute, attention, is not a limiting factor. So he's able to just multitask that really, really nicely and dance around as needed.
Oh, I mean, these scouts do have to be careful. I mean, even though they've been doing a nice job of dealing little bits of damage here to the light units, when you get a mix of Lancers and Exos like this, they are absolutely more than capable of dealing with these dogs. And we're getting shown here the bases of Clem. None of the Luminite mines really full, except for this 3rd base and I believe the 4th base. But now the real tech is coming online. Getting the medics available will heal up all these bio units. Very nice for him. And the hedgehog count, he hasn't truly committed to those being in the army, but just the amount of force. And is he working his way into the middle here with a few bobs as well? That could be pretty tasty in this game.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at this. Clem is just expanding to the corner right now. He's a base ahead all game long. Clem's macro looking quite unstoppable. Now he's queued up some bobs to break the trees. They got confused for a second, and the bobs get caught by the dogs. Very nice catch there for Skillous, taking down one of those bobs. A hedgehog grabs another bob on the way out. I think keeping the dogs alive is really good. Just use them as a run by or a flanking unit later on. Don't really use them in the direct fight. Exo count's really good for Skillous so far, but those Lancers are so tanky.
Oh, and I mean, even some bobs joining the fight here, and Skillous, he's just running on through, trying to get as much damage as he can. He's left with a very, very fragile army that does indeed pack a punch, but my
yeah,
goodness,
that bob pull
lots
for
of
Clem
damage.
was clutch. Very clutch bob pull.
I love that they're called bobs.
It's so silly, isn't it? Yeah. I'm like, we should just say workers or something with like the bobs.
The bobs are out. The bobs are pulled, lads and lasses, and let's get going. Clem, again, by the way, just expanding like absolute crazy. And if I didn't know Wano wasn't a word used outside of Nottingham, I'd have said like Wano. But yeah, he's getting his army going on the map. Neither one of them's been truly all about the creep life this game, I'll say. But there is a splodge. In fact, is that a red dot in the middle of the mini-map I see? I mean,
yeah, it looks like it. So it looks like someone's put a dog in the middle and is just scouting it, I guess. Or actually a single bob. And there is the dog. So the dog with the radar dish on its back, obviously a placeholder graphic. That is the top bar power. 25 top bar power energy to send that to a location on the map. It can get killed very easily.
Skillous
just
is
as a way of
here,
sending
though,
a scout.
Like, Skillous has nowhere to go now. I feel he's kind of been baited or trapped a little bit. And I mean, Clem, does he want to take this fight? Nice little shield there on one of those front Exos.
Yes.
And Skillous did mine through on the other side, so he is able to get out of here. Yeah, nice play by both, honestly.
Dude, it's a scary fight, though. Clem's, because the quick draw, every time they shoot, they move a bit faster. Notice those Exos are so good at chasing enemy units down, and Clem, with that micro, looks disgusting with them. Whenever he gets chasing, he's very powerful. He's got more Exos rallying in from the right side as well. And with the heals from those medtechs really working in his favor.
Absolutely. I mean, this is starting to turn into a battle of Exo versus Exo here, except Clem can heal his up, and he's using that green Healy stuff that I'm sure is only for mech units at this point. There is a bob pull from behind, and I mean, right now, Skillous is doing everything he can to stay alive here, but Clem just absolutely chasing him down on this side of the map, and the red is streaming across the map as well.
I mean, the regular, that one there, it's interesting to see just the micro of Clem. Whenever he sees he's got like a single unit advantage, he goes for it. Skillous uses a shield. He tries to run past and focus the other units. The ball of units is overwhelming. He's up a base this whole time, and he's taking positive trades. Clem is just so unafraid in these games. The moment he has an advantage, he just pushes in. jumps on top, and he micros his way in when it's a good time, away when it's a bad time. He's got that fantastic sense for how to use this army very well, and Skillous not quite able to keep up with him.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that he's feeling how fluid these units move. And in his hands, they are absolutely just that. And Skillous, he's just trying to get out as many units as he can at this point, but it feels like it's almost too little too late, isn't it? I see Bob's Island there in the north, and they're going to try and do what they can. Maybe a bit of a Bob surround could happen over here. And I mean, that is one way to try and slow him down, but no, Clem just weasels his way on out of there. And I mean, a little bit of damage done, but Clem's just bigger behind all this as well.
The panic misclick on the tree there from Skillous, where all of his Bobs went to A move, but he clicked on the tree and they all ran over, broke the tree before they started fighting. I was like, oh, that was going to be the slickest surround ever. He was still way behind, but not being able to get that surround. He's now getting Atlas sieged. It is so sick. Clem, when he gets ahead in the mirror matchup, he is unstoppable. Skillous is forced out of the game. And just fantastic play all around, man. Clem is showing he's got the mirror on lockdown the same way he already showed in the Verse Infernal match. He looked great.